In 1940, the British decided they wanted a new infantry tank to serve alongside the Matilda II series of infantry tanks. This series was originally known as A-22, which looked very reminiscent of First World War tanks, featuring 2 side sponsons with 2-pounder guns, as well as a Matilda turret, where I'm currently sitting. However, after the fall of France and the elimination of trench warfare as a possibility, they redesigned it by Henry Merritt, and it was redesignated A-24, also known as the Churchill. My name's Chris, I'm at the American Heritage Museum, and today we're going to be looking at their Churchill Crocodile. Okay, so I've moved into the commander's position now. I'm sitting on his seat, which is mounted on the roof of the hull, right above the roof of the hull, in line with the turret ring. It folds up out of the way for when he wants to stand on his platform, which is a circular platform mounted about 6 inches above the turret basket floor. I suspect what he would do is when he's fighting with his head out, he would sit on his seat, because even though I'm a little taller than the tanker of the day, my head would still be out up of the hatch when it's buttoned up. So I suspect what he would do is stand on this platform with the seat up out of the way, and he would stand, and that way he would have direct view. His eye line would be right in view with his 6 periscopes that are in his fixed cupola. He has a handhold here and a handhold here. For if you're going over rough terrain, something like that. To his front left, he has the intercom box, so he has his lanyard right here and the gunner's intercom lanyard right here. He has his switch, so who he wants to talk to. He has channel A, intercom B, and then an auxiliary. He has a dome light to his front left for the gunner and him. He has a dome light behind him for the number 19 wireless set. So as I said before, this has an AB channel. So the A channel would be used for talking between command and your tank, so it had a range of about 10 miles, and then the B set had a range of about 1,000 yards, and that was for talking between tanks. And then it acted as well as the intercom. To his left, he would have mounted a flare pistol in a holster right here with flares down below him. He had a box of grenades just behind over his left shoulder, as well as stowage boxes for other maps or binoculars and things like that. 6 periscopes around him, 2-piece opening hatch front and back. He has a vane sight in front of him. But yeah, this is very fightable. I thoroughly enjoy this seat. His legs kind of dangle here, but like I said, when he would be fighting, he would be standing more than likely. So overall, very good. Let's move on to the gunner. Okay, so I've moved into the gunner's position now. I am sitting rather, just in front of the commander. His platform is directly to my rear. His seat is folded up out of the way. And as you can see, he has the quick-firing 75mm Mark V on his left, or on his right, I'm sorry, followed by the turret wall on his left. He has his manual traverse right here on his left hand, very smooth. And on his right hand, he would have the manual elevation, only manual elevation on this tank, as well as the trigger for the main gun, the electronic trigger for the main gun. His foot controls, he has a pedal for the Biza machine gun, which is located right to the right of the main sight. His power traverse would be down by his thighs, mounted just below the turret ring on the turret wall, on the turret basket wall, I'm sorry. And the spent shell casings would be caught in this chute right here from the Biza and travels down into a stowage box that is just mounted directly under the gun. His power control is missing on this, but it's still, you can get an idea of how cramped it is right here. His primary sight right here is a telescopic sight. This is the only fixed sight that he had. He had a periscope that goes up through the roof, but that wasn't linked to the gun in any way. That was simply for observation. He has a nice pad right here, so I guess there's that. Above him, he has a light right here so that he can manipulate the gun if he has to clear a jam or recock the manual trigger, which is located right here to his right. So he can do that without the need of someone else. He has these selector buttons right here for the intercom, or the lighting system. Actually, it's for the lighting system. The hydraulic motor, and this ring right here, this is for the indirect fire. So it has 2 mil scales on here, one for HE smoke and then one for purely HE. This would be used for indirect fire. You set the elevation that you want and it adjusts this sight accordingly. But yeah, overall, it's not bad, but it's not great. This is certainly the worst position in the tank by far. he's pretty cramped on the left and the right, especially the right by the gun. And to his left, actually mounted pretty much right next to his seat, he would have mounted either a Bren gun stored vertically along the stored vertically from the turret basket up to the turret ring, or an infantry rangefinder. I think he would want the rangefinder, and the Bren gun would be stored over with the loader, but it's certainly not the best. But that's it for the gunner. Let's move on to the loader. I am on the right side of the tank behind the driver, and to the left is my primary weapon. This is what I was responsible for. He has a breech operating handle on the right side of the gun. The breech is missing from this, but the lever is still there. The recoil guard, I will be honest, would be about to here, so it would take up the majority of this space right here. So he would be rather limited in how he is able to get the ammunition, which is stored in a ready rack right here. I have a box of 14 shells, which would be stored just in front of me, with 2 boxes of ammunition, 30 rounds in each stowed vertically, just behind the driver and the bow gunner, and just in front of the turret over here. So there would be 30 rounds stowed right here and 30 rounds over there. He would typically carry anywhere from, in this ready rack, anywhere from 4 smoke to 10 HE, or if they were expecting tanks, they would usually carry probably between 5 and 6 AP and a couple HE and a couple smoke. They would definitely keep their smoke stored in here because that was the most useful, and the long-term storage would usually be the AP and the HE. To his right, he has the 2-inch bomb thrower. You can see just how much room this takes up. Now, this is usually missing from most intact or restored Churchills, and so you can really see how big this thing is. And he has a rack of 20 of the 2-inch bombs stowed right here at the front of the turret. He would have various bits of oil and maintenance tools for the gun itself, for the 2-inch bomb thrower, for the Biza machine gun. He would be that would be stored up against the turret wall right here. He would have his own periscope through the roof on this side. Again, it's not linked to the gun in any way. It's just there. He has a dome light looking forward, so he can see the box of ammunition, as well as, I'll note, the blower motor fan directly above the trunnions for the gun. His 2-piece hatch is in front of him, plenty wide enough. This tank is very easy to get in and out of from this hatch. It doesn't rotate or anything, it's just a fixed loader's hatch. He has his intercom system right here. This is where he'd plug in his lanyard. Underneath this radio right here, it seems pretty open, but there would be stored here anywhere from the boxes of rations to Biza machine gun ammunition boxes to 100-round Bren magazines, the drums. Those would be stored right there under the number 19. Up along this wall, again, would be stored either ammunition, Thompsons, various other bits. He would have a box of grenades right here. He would also have another box of flares for the commander in case he ran out of the 12 that he has stored over there. Mounted just in front of the 2-inch bomb thrower ammunition would be the mounting for the Bren gun, or I'm sorry, not the Bren gun, the Biza machine guns box that feeds in between the top of the gun tube and the bottom of the recoil cylinder. So you can see this has a recoil cylinder on top of the gun. This fits into the front of the gun mantlet, and this is what the gun recoils. The gun would recoil to about here. So again, like I said, he's kind of squeezed in that regard because the gun, when it recoils, it goes back about a foot. So he wouldn't want to be anywhere near there, and he physically couldn't be able to with the recoil guard here. So I suspect he would spend most of his time up front like this, sort of giving him more arm room. The gun travel lock, you can see mounted in the ceiling. It has 2 pieces. This folds down and locks into this piece right here on the side of the gun. And they would use that for long road marches to not put wear and tear on the actual elevation mechanism. Other things to note around the turret, you can see the half basket, half skeleton around that the turret basket is suspended on. So you can still stick your foot out, and there's plenty of ways to get yourself caught in there. You can see there's 2 fire extinguisher bottles mounted. That's the fixed fire system, so if the engine catches fire, they can pull those from in here, and that sprays CO2 into the engine compartment. You can also see, actually real quick, the loader's seat. So this folds up for when he wants to stick his head out of his hatch, but it folds away nice and neat actually. You can pretty much stand right up against it and use it as a sort of backrest rather than the metal of the turret ring for when you're actually operating. Overall, this is pretty good. I can't imagine it's very easy to get the rounds from down here up over here into the recoil guard and into the gun. It seems rather hard, but I'm sure with practice you'd get pretty good at it. But overall, pretty comfortable. Let's move on to the driver. Okay, so I've moved down into the driver's compartment now, and you can see he has great visibility when not in combat. He has this plug right here, which is operated by this lever right here and locked in place by this lever, spring activated. To his direct front, he has his steering tillers. Very odd for a tank to have a tiller bar. Usually it's independent tillers. This is sort of like a steering wheel, and it's actually very smooth to operate. The mechanical linkages are intact on this tank, and it still is very smooth to operate. To his right, he has his gear shift, the Merritt Brown 4-speed gearbox. Like I said, 4 gears forward, 1 reverse. To his right, he has his handbrake lever, so that is the independent brake. He also has a brake lever, so his pedals go clutch, brake, accelerator. You can see the clutch all the way over here. Very smooth. I have to say, this is a light clutch, comparatively speaking. I have been in some tanks that have very, very heavy clutches. The brake is all the way down on this because the handbrake is in place. To his right, he has mounted on the hull wall, he has the choke for the engine right here, nicknamed the Strangler, or well, not nicknamed, that's what it was called in Britain at the time, the Strangler. To his right, he has his instrument panel. Up top, he has his speed. You can see only 376 miles on this baby. Not bad for 75 years old. He has just below that his RPM, maxes out at 3,000, although I doubt they would get it that high. And then below that, he has a voltmeter, his oil pressure meter, his temperature gauge. He has 2 temperature gauges and 2 fuel tank gauges. The 2 temperatures, one of course for each engine. This has the Merritt Brown Twin 6. He has other various buttons here. He has his starter, he has his horn, he has his light switch right here. Typical inverted teardrop, and that's what you would use. His fuse panel is right behind this metal cover right here. Moving right from there, he has a ton of storage space off to his right. I mean, my arm is fully extended and I just barely touched the side of the turret, or the side of the hull, I'm sorry. He would store here his intercom set he has here, various other bits of kit for the maintenance of the machine and a machine gun and stuff like that. Just behind that, you can see his escape hatch on that side. Following back, he has, this would be used for his gas mask. He would keep that in there. Just to the right of that is his intercom lanyard. So that's where he would plug his headset in, and it would be behind him. Moving right from there, you can see this stowage box. They would often pile things up in here, and they've turned the lights out on me, but that's fine. I've still got a little bit of time. To his left, he has the box. So this would have the lights for the warning system on the trailer, the micro switches that I showed you earlier. They would activate lights that are in here, one for the left, one for the right. And they would tell him to stop steering in that direction so to not damage the trailer. Like I said earlier, his vision, he has this great big porthole, and it gives a lot of comfort to see just how thick this armor is. And just above that, he has 2 periscopes. Oddly enough, neither one is directly in front of him. They are both off to the side, so I guess he'd have to pick a side that he preferred. Up here, this is a box for some of his engine controls. So he has his fuel pump and stuff like that up there. To the left, this is one of the oil tanks for the gun. So the flamethrower, it would have oil in here, and this would be what you use as a pilot flame for the actual flamethrower. So that I'll talk more about that when we get over there. Directly behind him, he has a dome light so he can see what he's doing, and there's a tetrachloride fire extinguisher right there for the flamethrower. I'm sure that was pretty reassuring, but overall this is great. He's got a nice big 2-piece hatch right here. It's locked in place, but it's plenty wide enough. I can fit in here, no problem. But yeah, this is a very comfortable driver's position. The seat adjusts forward and backwards, which is very nice because when I first got in here, I didn't know how, and I was rather cramped. But now, I could definitely drive this tank. This is very comfortable, even for the time of 1940 and when it was fighting in 1945. This is very comfortable. So, let's move on to the bow gunner. Okay, so I apologize if you are having trouble hearing me over the movie that is playing behind me. So I have now moved into the bow machine gunner's position, or I should say the bow gunner's position for the flamethrower. And as you can see right in front of me, I have the Wasp flamethrower. So this was originally taken off the Wasp Universal Carrier. It just replaces the ball mount in the Churchill. Just a simple replacement. It uses the same mount and everything. You can see the two hoses that come out below the gun. They come out to behind me, and there is a hole in the floor where the pipes come from outside of the tank in. Right here he has a oil pressure tank, so this tank is for the pre-burner or for the igniter on the flamethrower. He has a simple telescopic sight right in front of him with a headrest above it. Right here to his right he has the controls for the actual flamethrower, so he has an on-off switch for the valve that actually is on the link. He has a fan in the roof above him, and right here he would have a periscope, so if he wants to just grossly shoot the flamethrower, he can shoot it with this, or if he wants to be more precise, he can shoot it through the telescopic sight. His trigger is on this handle right here. His right hand is on a handle, but this is more for leverage since it's so long. It gives him a mechanical advantage on the gun. On the right he has on the left, I'm sorry, he has a water tank, so it has a little tap on the bottom. They would use this to put their fresh water. Normally there would be stored many boxes of machine gun ammo right here. Behind him, directly behind his seat, is a air compressor. This is for the air-assisted transmission on the tank, so it uses compressed air to help the driver steer, or change gears, I'm sorry. Right over here, this is the intercom link for his intercom set. He has a dome light directly behind him, and his hatch again is above him. This is a lot more cramped than the driver's position is, a lot more cramped. This flamethrower is very large, a lot larger than the regular Biza machine gun. He has a nice pad here, so I guess that's nice if he hits his head off the side when the tank is going, but he has the flamethrower controls are all right here. They're all done by him. He doesn't need anyone else, the commander, to help him or anything. So yeah, that's about it. Let's move outside to finish.
Overall, the Churchills were well liked by their crews for their excellent protection, good mobility, and reliable gun. A total of about 5,800 Churchills of all types were made, with about 800 of those being Crocodiles. The Crocodiles were instrumental in the taking of Fort Montauban in Brest, France, as well as many other fortifications such as the West Wall. That was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. I think I'll be doing the IS-2 for my next video.